What is going on, guys? My name is Raivis, and today we're going to break down a track that I made 2 days ago. So in celebration of Dylan coming out with his new sample pack on Splice, I got inspired by him. What's funny is that I reached out to Dylan like a few years ago and he never got back to me. This way, with his samples on Splice, it allows us all to work with him, so it's cool to see what we can do with his vocals because he's such a talented vocalist. Without further ado, let's just get into it. I'm going to show you a quick preview of what it sounds like.
Try to be honest, I'm not good at letting down my guard, but I really want it. Before you, I was running in the dark. When you said this was goodbye, that's when I realized I can't live without you. So I'll keep I need you closer, I want you and only you. You and only you. But something brings me back to you.
Alright, so let's start from the beginning. Excuse the nasally sound because I'm still recovering from a cold. So right here we have the vocals.
Try to be honest, I'm not good at letting down my guard, but I really want it. Before you, I was running in the dark.
When I heard that, I instantly started making this drum. So that comes with a white noise. We got this really cool hi-hat, which I make it random pan, which gives it some extra space. Okay, so right after making those drums, which I thought accompanied the vibe of the vocals really well. So I just added these piano chords. And what I did to make them sound really good, I put a slight filter over them, and then I put some reverb on it with a slight compression. Over here I just used the hold feature on the MIDI effects and automated it so that way it turns on and off instead of clashing into each other. Another layer I added was this pad. Which it slowly opens until it gets to the build-up, and then it restarts. What also gives this verse a really epic sound is the small ambient sounds I added to it. So for instance, this, which when I heard it just sounded really good. It's a really good accenting sound. What also helps keep the energy moving along out of these impacts so all together.
Try to be honest, I'm not good at letting down my guard, but I really want it. Before you, I was running in the dark. When you said this was goodbye, that's when
Okay, so let's get into the buildup. So the buildup is pretty simple. I stripped down most of the percussion, kept the impacts going, and I filtered down the pads, which slowly opened until we got into the snare build, which then I just kept it on one note and it slowly opened. Another thing I added for the pads in the respace was that I automated the kickstart. Then I gradually increased the mix, so that way it just starts sounding more and more pumping right before the drop. So then I also added these cinematic drums. Guitar. And I added this effect on his vocals.
I need you closer, I want you and only you.
So what I did was I just automated the reverb on this note. I wanted closer to sound like it was up close. Okay, so let's get into the drop. So the drop is actually really simple. Drive with the drop of these drums, which I just picked some really epic sounding ones. Just added this crash to reinforce. Alright, so let's get into the synths. Alright, so for the synths, I just use this dirty bass. I layered it with this sub bass. Added some white noise. And for the main saws, I use this. So then I added this vocal layer. And lastly, I use this as a supporting synth. I also use this guitar as a layer. Which I just chopped up and then put an effect on it. I literally just put some reverb and OTT on it. Another alternating melody I have is this right here. With this as well. Which I like just as a supporting element. So the second verse was pretty much the same as the first one. I just took out the piano and then introduced it in the second half of it. And I just changed the kick slightly. Okay, for the second build-up, I copy and pasted the first build-up. So instead of just doing the one note during the rise, I copy and pasted the chords just for variation. I also reversed the piano. So I just changed the timing of the vocal so that way it sounds a little different. So let's get into the last drop. So for the last drop, I pretty much just copy and pasted the first drop. Then I deleted the second beat so that way I could add this. I also added this bass fill. Added these hi-hats in the second measure. Also with that, I put a DJ filter. So I automated it in and out right as the vocal happened, so that way the second half would sound even more epic. So then I added this vocal run. And then in the second to last measure, I added a little variation in the chords, so it would sound a little different. For the last drop, I'd probably make it twice as long, but for the demo purposes, I'm just going to keep it this way. If you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this. If you guys have any questions, just leave it in the comments and I'll be glad to answer them. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Raivis out.